Well, welcome everybody. It's so cool to see so many smiling faces with us this Thursday evening. My name is Josh Duhan. For those of you who may not know me, I am a senior sales coordinator with the Juice Plus company. I've had that honor and privilege and really a great prosperity for a relatively short period of time, but Juice Plus products have been in my family now for a long time. A lot of you may know my aunt. Her name is Cheryl Cortese. And, just a little company history here, little family history. I'm going to give you guys a brief overview on our products, and then we'll go straight to our guest speaker and her team for the evening. The Juice Plus company is not a new company by any stretch of the imagination. They're now actually 50 years old. We entered the field in the 70s, and we were not called the Juice Plus company at the time. In 1970, our company founder had named us NSA, and that stood for National Safety Association. And the first product that was brought to market through this company was a fire alarm. Believe it or not, fire alarms were obviously very successful. In the 80s, he transitioned into air and water filtration systems. And this was about the time my family got involved. Clean air, clean water, if you guys remember, that was Reagan's, one of his presidential themes. And that was something that really resonated with us. My family's always been big on health and wellness, clean air, clean water. It made sense to us. We started using those products, and we had great success with them. We had such good success that it made sense to us to start sharing that information with other people. And in a relatively short period of time, my family built up a pretty successful business. My father and my Aunt Cheryl, his sister, my mother, we really all went after it, and they did a fantastic job. And in the early 90s, Jay Martin moved us one more time into the field of health technology with these lovely bottles here. And I don't think anybody at the time really knew what to expect. Really what we had here was a juicing replacement product. The concept made sense. Juicing was popular, but it also had some real downsides to it. And for any of those of you that maybe have juiced in the past, you might know what those downsides are. Number one, it's very timely if you do it yourself. And number two, it's pretty expensive, especially if you start to multiply times 3 or 4 for a family, right? So for so many of us, our diet's being challenged. Everybody wakes up in the morning with the best intentions to eat right, to do well from a diet standpoint. And at some point along the day, life happens and it kind of falls apart, and you end up maybe making some food choices that were not necessarily in your frame of thinking when the day kicked off. So Juice Plus is something wonderful that bridges that gap for all of us between that food that we woke up in the morning planning on eating and the food we actually did end up eating. When you take a dose of Juice Plus, and really what we're looking at when we talk about a dose is going to be 2 capsules out of each of these bottles. Pretty simple. 2 green, 2 red, 2 berry, and 2 orange. And that's going to represent the equivalent of about 30 different servings of fruits, veggies, berries, grains, a wide variety that you're not going to be able to ever eat all in one day. And Juice Plus gives it to you at a price point of $3.48 a day, which is something that's economically sustainable, or at least it should be if health and wellness is a priority to you. Certainly we all have to make choices in terms of our finances, but $3.48 a day is something that if your health is at the top of the priority list, most of us can figure out how to fit in. On top of that, we are also with a really benevolent company in that they always give a person an opportunity to sponsor a child with an adult order. So through what's called the Children's Health Study or Healthy Starts for Families, if an adult orders this product line, a child can be sponsored. And it doesn't even have to be your own child. The Juice Plus companies, one of their missions is to inspire healthy living around the world, and they go through children and work through children to do that. So I'll take you guys through my personal routine. This is what I do every day. This is our complete powder. Okay, people are using this for all different types of things. We see this used in our Shred 10 program within this company, which is great for really getting the body to balance out at its weight that it really should probably sit at naturally. The Shred 10 program is phenomenal for that. I use it a lot as protein supplementation. Been an athlete my whole life. I still train 5 days a week, and I find that taking a dose of Complete in the morning, I just take my shaker bottle, I fill it up with water, and I dump the powder in. A lot of people love to make shakes. Almond milk, peanut butter. You can make fantastic shakes with this. I just like to drink it, and that's what I do. I put it in the water, I shake it up, I take my capsules, and that's how I kick off my day. And then in the afternoon, after my training wraps, I do the same thing again. I take a double dose just because of the athletic aspects of my life. I feel like my body needs it to recover. But the daily dose for most people is more than adequate to really fight the inflammation levels in the body, give us that good, strong immune system to help us fight off any bugs or whatever that might be floating around, keep us all safe and keep us healthy. And so tonight we're going to go to our guest speaker for the evening. I'm going to read you a little bit of information on her, and then she's going to introduce some of her people within her organization that are also a part of our mission. Her name is Arlita Winston. She's an executive marketing director with our company, which is one of our top leadership positions. She is married to a retired family physician. She's the mother of 5, grandmother to 28, and great-grandmother to 22, and more on the way. She's a teacher, a published author, an international conference speaker with women, giving them hope in a broken world. Arlita came into the Juice Plus business with her husband 15 years ago. What excites her is to integrate the physical with the spiritual and the mental needs we all have. Music, art, and gardening are also a part of her passion. So Arlita, I will turn it over to you. Thank you so much for taking the time and bringing your family and your team on. We sure do appreciate you.
Thank you, Josh, very much. Dr. Joe and I were introduced to Juice Plus when it first came out into the market. And Charles Schellenberger, a physician, a pediatrician, who is also a very close friend of ours, told us about it. And the problem is we did not take it seriously. Being the wife of a physician, I really had prided myself in feeding my husband and 5 children great meals. And for years, I had focused on 4 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every single day. What I didn't realize, though, was that fresh produce, when picked weeks before it is ripe, does not have the nutrition that we expect. And the nutrition comes in during the last few days, their peak ripeness. And here they were being picked days before ripening, and then traveling many days to cross the country so that they could look beautiful on the grocery shelves. And produce coming from South America and abroad could take up to 3 weeks to get to our shelves. But around the time that we learned about Juice Plus, I was diagnosed with an aggressive and terribly fast-growing cancer. Charles Schellenberger saw that the heavy chemotherapy had nearly wiped me out after my mastectomy. And he knew that my immune system was down to about 0, and they really didn't expect me to live. He kept saying to my husband, Joe, Juice Plus could boost her immune system. It's simply fruits and vegetables picked at peak ripeness and put into a capsule. It's whole food, Joe, micronutrients put into a capsule. And my husband would say, show me the science, Charles. You see, at that time, there hadn't been the research done on it that there is now. But Charles didn't let up. Actually, he just kept bugging us. He kept after my husband for 10 years. By now, I was like an AIDS patient with little or no immune system. But by this time, the Juice Plus company had 9 studies published. However, he still didn't see how he could take time to research the research. He had thousands of patients, and he kept saying to me privately, he wouldn't have told Charles this. He says, Arlita, besides, it's probably just snake oil, more snake oil out there on the market. Well, 15 years ago, I was visiting the Schellenbergers, and Charles asked me if Joe had looked at the science yet. And I just drew a deep breath, rolled my eyes, and I said, Charles, please don't bother him anymore about that. Well, you can just tell Joe that he's no longer my friend if he doesn't look at the science. And he had fire in his eyes. I was stunned. You really mean that, don't you, Charles? He says, I do. It means you don't trust me. Well, I flew home that weekend, the research tucked under my arm. And I said, Joe, why don't you just simply look at the research this weekend when you're done? You can simply tell him why you don't like it, why you don't trust it, and then it's over. Besides, will you do it just for me? And that was my ace. I don't know why I hadn't used that before, actually. And Joe spent an entire weekend combing through the 9 research studies that were there at that time. And of course, we now have well over 38 studies that are peer-reviewed, they're double-blind, they're placebo-controlled, and they're gold standard published studies. But that Sunday night, he telephoned Charles and said, I owe you an apology, Charles. Get Arlita and me on this straight away. And I was so excited. And after taking it for a few weeks, we both began noticing new energy. Joe's memory became sharper. Several months later, he said, you haven't been asking me to massage your right shoulder, you know, the one with fibromyalgia. And I suddenly realized I didn't need it to be massaged. In fact, I wasn't even thinking about my arthritis now. And none of this had come on, by the way, until after all the chemotherapy. Now, I've got to say, Juice Plus makes no claims at all in curing any disease. This is simply what happened to me. 15 months later, more studies were done on me, and my oncologist telephoned. What are you doing differently, Arlita? And I said, why? Has my cancer reared up again? He had already told me that he would not be able to treat me if that happened, since my counts were so low. And I said, no. I'm doing nothing except those fruits and vegetables in a capsule that I showed you. He said, no, what are you doing differently? I said, really nothing. He said, Arlita, your blood count is normal. Your immune system is functioning. Surely you're doing something differently. Well, this time, Joe got so excited. How could he keep practicing medicine and not talk with his patients about these fruits and vegetables in a capsule? And that's when we decided to link arms with the Juice Plus company and do it as a business. Joe had spent more than 50 years treating disease, and it was as if he had stood at the bottom of a cliff, putting back together people who had fallen off. And oh, good, here he's coming right now. He just got off the phone. Here, this is my husband, Joe, the one who put it off for 10 years. So, and I love it when he says it was like he used to be standing at the bottom of that cliff, waiting to put people back together again who had fallen off. And what if he could stand at the top of the cliff, linking arms with others and keeping people from falling off? What if he could prevent as much disease as he had treated in those 50 plus years? We couldn't do it by ourselves. We needed a team to do that. And Juice Plus provided us with a business model to do exactly that. And now we are helping people improve their financial security. And together we're dramatically slowing down the aging process. Joe turns 85 this summer, and I'm not far behind. And we want to help people protect their health and prevent disease with this brilliant product called Juice Plus. So now I want to introduce you to some of these team members who are standing at the top of the cliff with us. And so I wonder if Debby Gross can unmute herself. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her. She's a wife, a mother of 4 grown children, and grandmother of 7. She taught elementary school and middle school special education for 16 years. She has worked alongside her husband, Ed, in Kenya, South Africa, and the US. She has been a part of our Juice Plus mission for 11 years. She also became a Dr. Sears health coach in 2014. She and her husband, Ed, attribute their health and energy to Juice Plus and share it everywhere with families and individuals. And speaking of families, I hope she has.
They're here.
Oh, good. One of her daughters just arrived with their family. You'll see them in a minute. One of their families, with their family from South Africa. And this is a Juice Plus family, I'm telling you. And so I'm going to turn it over to Debby right now. Debbie, and please just introduce your family that just arrived from South
All
Africa.
right. Thank you, Arlita. Here's my daughter, Charity, and this is Dia Moore, Dia V, and Seppo. So they're all Juice Plus.
Welcome to your new home here in America.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right,
We'll leave you to it.
Yeah, we'll leave you to it. Well, you know, it's a wonderful thing to be able to share my story. It's an honor, actually. Charity was the one that introduced me to Juice Plus 13 years ago. She was taking Juice Plus with Dia Moore. She had a high-risk pregnancy, and you know, she shared it with me, and I said no. My two assumptions were, I didn't think I needed it, and secondly, you know, I didn't think we could afford it. And so I put that out of my head, of course. But I had forgotten what my health was like when I was 30 years old, and we were actually missionaries in Kenya. And Charity here, she was about 2 years old, or I guess 3 years old. And I had given birth to Faith, who was about 4 months. We went over to Kenya with Charity and John, and Faith was born there. And about 4 months after she was born, I was very, very sick. And the doctors thought I must have malaria, because that was the standard thing, you know, when you had a high fever and you felt awful. And day after day, they couldn't figure it out. And then finally, a brilliant Italian doctor figured it out that I had bacterial pneumonia. So they put me in Nairobi Hospital for a week with IVs, and it was really a life and death situation. But you know, you get older and you just kind of forget those things, and life just happens. I recovered. We went home, you know, to the States again, and you know, we had a fourth child. And actually, the Italian doctor, I didn't say, had told me, you are too young to be this sick, and said I would advise you not to have any more children. Well, you know, 2 years later, we did have another child, and that was Hope. But, you know, our life was just busy. The kids were like 2 years apart, and we were just active in ministry. And so, you know, life just went on until 2006. That's when things dramatically changed for me. My sister was diagnosed with a rare form of thyroid cancer. She passed within 3 months, and I just stopped. I was listening, you know, I just began to listen. I began to slow down, and, you know, God had my complete attention. It was a really hard time. But it was a few years after that that I met Arlita, and Arlita shared Juice Plus with me again. And I had heard about it before, and this time I was in a different place, and I listened. And I thought, well, this is probably something good for us. And I had a son-in-law at the time who was sick, and I thought, you know, it would be great for him. But we decided we would get on it as well. So we all got on it, and my husband Ed and I got on it. And the first thing, of course, we noticed was energy. Everybody talks about that, the energy. We noticed we had the energy. I noticed I wasn't getting those upper respiratory things. That's something that Charity has also struggled with, but so that she is so grateful for the Juice Plus for that reason too. She and I have always struggled with upper respiratory, you know, bronchitis and things like that. But since I've been on Juice Plus, I think I've had only one antibiotic in 11 years for bronchitis. So my health dramatically changed, you know, no more headaches. The memory was sharper. I got rid of my constipation. My husband, his tinnitus, his gingivitis, his precancerous polyps, they all went, and he actually improved his eyesight. It was improved by 3 different times, and he lost his astigmatism in his right eye. So we are so grateful for the product and just the way that it gives us the health that we need with the travel that we've done. You know, we've been in Africa many, many times. We've gone to Africa probably once every year for the last 10 years, and sometimes actually twice. So we've traveled in Europe as well. Ed has traveled all over Africa. So we're just so grateful for the gift of the product. But the business was also a tremendous blessing. You know, Arlita invited me into the business and I didn't say no. I was tempted to say no, but like I said, I was in a different place in my life. I was actually listening. I was actually, you know, open to things that I had not been before. And the business has been just a tremendous thing in growing my confidence and in growing in leadership. And in community, I am so grateful for the Juice Plus community, the friends that I've made, and this company that has our back. You know, our company has amazing values, and one of them is longevity. It's a company that wants to be there for us and for our grandchildren. And I'm so grateful for that. So I just would urge you, if you're thinking about the product or thinking about the business, don't just say no. Consider what a great thing it could be for you. It has actually changed my life, and I'm so grateful for it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Debbie. Debbie was one of my very first reps, and I'm so thankful she didn't say no. Thanks, Debbie. And now I want Nienke to unmute herself. Nienke Izurieta is a sales coordinator and is a, excuse me? Okay. Nienke is a registered nurse and has worked as an operating room nurse in several disciplines such as open heart, neuro, orthopedics, and trauma in London, Ontario, and Toronto. And these specialties opened many doors overseas in the Netherlands and then on the ambulance team throughout Europe. She joined the Canadian medical team as a surgical nurse, volunteering with the International Red Cross to Cambodia, delivering babies, diagnosing and treating in the most primitive conditions that Cambodian refugees who were escaping genocide. Nienke has been married 38 years and has 2 daughters. She's a grandmother and a businesswoman, inspiring healthy living and inspiring hope for health at any age. Okay, Nienke, unmute yourself, please.
I am. Boy, what a panel. Off and on. My story is a little bit different. I'm coming from the institution of health. I would say in all those years, off and on for 40 years, the institution for health was my occupational identity. I would not have dared to think outside of those walls where many professional caregivers treated patients with evidence-based science. But then a shift came. Healthcare became very personal. Throughout the years, with multiple antibiotic treatments for my children, constipation, eczema, antibiotics, and PICC lines, I knew something had to change. I started to look beyond the treatment. Was it the food, the lack of food, contributing to the cause? It was hard to know. And then around the same time, my mom, a vibrant woman, never went to the doctor, on no medication, diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I had 6 weeks left with her. For how long was this cancer growing before she felt anything? Nobody would know. And you know, I began to ask myself, why? Why am I looking to make these changes after illnesses and not before? It's interesting, a friend shared with me a postcard, a really pretty postcard with a variety of fruits and vegetables and berries. I thought it was interesting. So I was curious to learn more about her story, how adding these concentrated foods to their diet had changed the trajectory of her husband's life and their future. You know, it was like a light bulb. Food is medicine too. I understood then, flooding my body with a variety of vine-ripened foods every day could slow down the aging process. I needed this like oxygen. I also realized that prevention, you don't feel. In addition, I was amazed to learn that there was, like Dr. Winston said, gold standard research. As a nurse, I needed to know that. Gold standard research, third-party reviewed on humans, that was evidence-based science. Remember, I shared with you working in the institution, we treated patients with evidence-based science. Well, these results were published in medical journals I was familiar with. I was thrilled to see this. I learned that all these phytonutrients or plant foods was bioavailable. They were absorbed all into my body. These nutrients could help with systemic inflammation, support the function of our immune system, help maintain the elasticity of our cardiovascular system. Interesting. And my DNA did not have to be my destiny. Safe for pregnant moms and children. And in our community, we have doctors teaching us about the power of food. This isn't taught in nursing school, and most physicians don't learn about it either. This was healthcare for me. I learned that I had a food gap, a nutritional gap. Yeah, okay, I ate a salad every day, fruits and vegetables, but for optimum health, I needed to eat 7 to 13 servings a day. How is it even possible? Adding these concentrated plant foods in a capsule, our family began to feel significant improvements that have had a large impact on the quality and well-being of our lives. I have more sense of well-being now than I did 10 years ago. The cold lasts only a day or so. My husband's stomach issues has been relieved. Such a gift. And then guess what? There's a business side too. For $50 to $52 a year, I could have my own business. Imagine that. The company ships, bills, packs directly to the consumer. All I have to do is share with beautiful people like you. No more exchanging dollars for hours. This business has gifted us with choices. But can I share with you the best part? It's about regrets. If my life should ever turn, we will never have to say, should have. My children will never have to say or think, Mom and Dad didn't take care of themselves. They didn't listen. So we are truly practicing prevention, bridging our nutritional gap, eating fresh produce from our tower garden. So regrets? Absolutely not. Having no regrets is a life worth living. Thanks.
Thank you, Nienke. And I just so appreciate these team members because of the friendships that are developed during this business. And so now I want to turn to Renee Ware. Are you there, Renee? Let me see. Yes, you are. I see you. Can you unmute yourself there so that you're ready? Renee is a retired school crossing guard. She's the mother of 5 children, 13 grandchildren, and 8 great-granddaughters. And she feels that she has been an entrepreneur. I tell you, the more I get to know Renee, the more I know she was an entrepreneur from the very beginning, from the time, her whole life, really. She loves people. She loves to make money. She loves beauty. She loves makeup. She has never loved gardening, ever, until she got a tower garden. And her friends say, who would have thought Renee would ever love gardening? But she's actually loving gardening too. So Renee, can you tell us your story?
Thank you, Dr. Joe, and thank you, Arlita, for inviting me to this call. It's going to be hard to follow the others. But like you said, I am an entrepreneur. I'm just an average housewife that always looked for ways to supplement my husband's income by doing direct sales. So I love multi-level marketing, and mostly all the direct sales that you know about, I probably have sold them. So at the time, I was doing travel. I had my own online travel agency and booking travel and going, doing a lot of travel. Wasn't making much money, but doing a lot of travel. And this was a way that I always helped to raise, being home with my children, raising children and grandchildren, where I would work part-time. So at this particular time, I had sponsored one of my good friends, and she was in the travel business with me. And we were already making plans to go to the Bahamas, and we were getting ready to do travel. And so I had been doing travel now for about 13 years off and on, and wasn't interested in anything else. I found my niche. Wasn't making much money though. So she came to me, Andrea, and she says, Renee, I just went to an event. And I said, doing for what? She says, well, it's called Juice Plus. I said, okay. She said, I bought some gummies. I said, not interested. She came back again and she says, I think these gummies are giving me more energy. I'm not interested. So she came back again and she says, I think I'm losing a little weight. I said, that's good. Now, how many people you got coming? We're going to the Bahamas next month. How many people you got? Let's get our people together. She came back again. She said, I just got paid. I said, for what? What did you do? She said, I don't know. I just shared the product. Okay, I'm not interested. So she came back again. She said, I just got a promotion and $100 bonus. I said, what you say the name of that company is again? She said, Juice Plus. I said, what do you have to do? She said, it's just $50 a year. I said, and what do you have to pay for the front office and the back office? It's all paid for. Mind you, we were paying $80 a month for the front office and back office we had in travel. So I said, okay, what do I have to do? Sign me up. So she said, well, first you have to get on the product. Well, I really wasn't interested in nutrition. I really wasn't interested in selling nutrition. I've been there, done that. And I had been diagnosed in 2000 with thyroid cancer. So I didn't have a thyroid and I was very, very overweight. And I had acid reflux really, really bad, pre-diabetic. The doctors wanted to put me on more metformin. I wouldn't take it. But I still wasn't really interested in changing my life because all I had to do was just take my medication. I was fine. So I said, what should I start with? She said, well, start with the trio and then start with the omegas. And she explained what everything was and start with the shakes. And so she says, so I said, okay, when we get back from the Bahamas, I'm going to get busy. Because you know what? I would really like to find something where I can make some extra money. So she introduced me to this fabulous lady named Warlesea. Warlesea is the best upline that I have ever worked with in direct sales. So we all locked arms and I started on the product. And as I started on the product, a few months later, I started to notice I had more energy. Well, I had went back out of retirement to school crossing guard. And at the age that I was now, it was not that easy to cross these kids across the street anymore. But all of a sudden I'm crossing 300 kids and I only work an hour and a half, but I'm crossing 300 kids. I'm coming home. I'm doing my housework. I'm going grocery shopping and I just have all of this energy. And I'm like, oh, wow, there's something to this. Then I started to eat better and my acid reflux started to go away. Now, I know weight loss is not a weight loss. I mean, Juice Plus is not a weight loss program, but here I was without a thyroid, losing weight. I said, oh man, this is, and I never thought I could lose weight. And then all of a sudden I started losing weight and people started to notice me. And they said, Renee, what are you doing? I said, I'm on Juice Plus. So the family, the friends, everybody said, well, tell us about it. And then I started just getting customers and started getting a promotion and things just started working out. And I'm like, this is fabulous. So, but the main part was that went back to my doctor. I no longer was pre-diabetic. I no longer had to have acid reflux medication. My blood pressure was down and my cholesterol was down. I said, now these are goals that I have attained. So my next goals were to be able to quit that crossing guard job. And I want to tell you with Juice Plus, I have attained that goal. Now the next goal is to tell everybody I know about Juice Plus, how they may help themselves, not only physically, but financially as well. So thank you, Juice Plus. Thank you, Arlita and Joe. And thank you, Warlesea and Andrea.
Oh, thank you, Renee. We're just so pleased because I wouldn't have known you if it hadn't been for Juice Plus, and you are a good friend. So let me introduce you to Renee's upline. She's in our team, Warlesea Fatta, and Warlesea has worked in the healthcare field for more than 25 years. She's a mother of 3, And for the last 20 years, she's been searching for just the right entrepreneur family. And she finally found a home 2 years ago with our Juice Plus company. And her eldest son, Edward Jones, is an entrepreneur in his own right. And he is an actor and a model and is a QSC with Juice Plus. So Warlesea, please tell us your story. And besides, I have loved becoming a friend of Warlesea. So
Oh
tell
my
us.
goodness. I loved it too, Arlita. I really, really have. This has been a wonderful, wonderful journey. And my journey started, as you mentioned, 2 years ago. At the time when we were introduced to Juice Plus, we thought we were pretty healthy, as some people may feel until you get a lot of tests taken and you realize that you're not as healthy as you thought. And that's what happened with us. We were getting life insurance, which we had put off for years. And they tested us for everything. And come to find out, we were pre-diabetic. My husband's blood pressure was through the roof. I was chronically fatigued to the point where if I'm driving and the red light was too long, I was falling asleep. So it was bad. I was going to sleep exhausted, waking up exhausted. I had no energy at all whatsoever. And when someone introduced us to Juice Plus, I said, you know what? We're not getting enough fruits and vegetables in our lives anyway, so might as well do it. Little did I know that it was going to be such an amazing journey because of the fact that we're no longer pre-diabetic. My husband's blood pressure regulated to almost like a teenager's blood pressure. And I had energy from everywhere. I was able to do any and everything. And I didn't go to bed exhausted, but when I went to bed, my head hit the pillow and I was out like a light. So I had energy, which is what I really, really, really needed. And so we introduced this to our families. My mom, my sisters, everyone in our family just about is eating Juice Plus now. And especially for my mother, she had so many different ailments, and I introduced it to her, and she was on a lot of medications, and now she's on 0 medications and just eating Juice Plus. So I know that this was a great product, which made me really look into the business behind the product, because I felt like it was such a wonderful product and it has to be a great company. And it was. As Arlita mentioned, I had been searching long and far for, I am an entrepreneur at heart, so what I really wanted to do was leave my day job and be able to have something
Megan,
like
just
this
wash your face. Trusted you do.
support myself. But I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel because my husband is self-employed, and I provide all the health insurance for our entire family. So I could never see myself leaving my job. But when I was looking into becoming a partner with Juice Plus, I realized that the company offers a benefit package, and a corporate benefit package at that. So then I said, where do I sign? I now see the light. So, and I also needed to be in a company that had support. And I have to say that Arlita has been the best supporter that I could have ever tried to be a part of. And she has made me know that this company, that's all they want to do is see you succeed. I've never been with any network marketing company that wants to see you succeed even more than themselves. And I have a great group of people, as you just heard Renee speaking, I have a great group of people, and that makes it so much better because I can choose, pick and choose who I work with. I also have a sidekick, and I've had this sidekick for 26 years now. He has been with me through all of the other companies that I've worked with, and he's with me now in this company that we're working with Juice Plus. And I so enjoy working with my son, Edward Jones, and I would like to introduce you to him so he can tell you a little bit about himself. Edward?
Thank you. I usually go by Alan, so I had to switch up my name really quick to Edward just for confusing purposes. But yeah, so given that entry that my mom just gave, you can assume that I was pretty skeptical going into any new kind of business venture or anything like that. One difference, or a lot of differences, Juice Plus has compared to other companies out there, but I'm not going to sit here and list them right now because I don't have enough time. So I'll just touch on the things that really meant something to me. $52. You don't need to take out a loan in order to join the company and start working it. There's no huge lifestyle change that's needed. I think it was the first speaker, I forget what his name was, I'm sorry. It was a guy though, the only other guy that was on here. He mentioned that he takes the shakes, and that's something that I incorporated into my routine, which doesn't need a huge change in what I'm already doing. I'm already taking shakes either after the gym, first thing in the morning, all that stuff. So all it really is just a little extra ingredient, and I'm getting everything in that I need for the entire day. I have braces. I hate eating vegetables. Now that I take Juice Plus, now I'm finding myself going to vegetables, and I'm growing them on a tower garden in my living room. It's the craziest thing. But anyway, another part of this business, everyone in the world is concerned about their immune system and their immune health and how well they can fight off diseases or anything like that they can come encounter with in today's world. Something that people my age, I'm right around 20, I'm 26, people around my age think they're immune to all kinds of sickness and diseases, such as, I'll just mention a few: obesity, HBP, high blood pressure, hypothyroidism, which if you don't know what hypothyroidism is, I actually know very personally because I used to have it before Juice Plus. I used to have it, and what that meant was high fatigue and weight gain and just low energy. And I think Renee was just talking about how she had cancer to the thyroid and she had low energy as well. It's the same across the board. This goes into the personal story for me about Juice Plus. When I started taking it, I was at a point where I was skinny fat and I was just really chubby, out of shape. But I also had dreams, though, to be a model, to be an actor. And at the time, I was working at the Fashion Show Mall, which, and it was at Finish Line, and it had a second story where I would look down into the catwalk where all the models would walk up and down the runway. And I would just visualize myself doing that all the time when I would go on break at 12 o'clock and just wonder, maybe one day I'll get to do that. Well, about maybe two years later or so, I would say, about halfway through that 2 years, I started taking Juice Plus. I can now say I walked that same runway, and I've walked it about 5 different times, and I've gotten into different agencies, and I've had so many different opportunities because of the product Juice Plus. It's just really raised my energy and raised my confidence in wanting to go out there and do something, because now I'm not looking down on my stomach and saying, maybe not. But thank you, Mom, for introducing me to Juice Plus.
And thank you, Edward, for just really joining us tonight. I love seeing moms and their kids doing this together. And thank you, Carol. Thank you, Josh, for inviting us on here to share this from our team.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everybody who took the time this evening and displayed the courage to share your story about what Juice Plus has done in your life, what the products have done, what the mission means. We're going to kind of shift gears now this evening for any of you that would like to hang around and learn a little bit more